In this week's Parsha, Parsha Shlach, the Torah tells us about one of the most critical errors in the history of the Jewish people. And this error in judgment, still has its ripple effects to this day. And that, of course, was the sending of the Meraglim, the spies, to the land of Israel. The Jewish people were inching closer and closer to actually entering the promised land that Hashem told them was going to be beautiful. It was their destiny. It was where the people would flourish and they would be so incredibly happy, satiated, satisfied. But the Bnei Israel had something in them in which they said, God, thank you, but we need to see it for ourselves. We wonder how many times in life when someone tells us something, we just don't believe, and we say we need to see it for ourselves. And there's a difference, of course, between someone else telling us and Kadosh Baruch Hu, God, telling us. And so they asked Moshe, could we send spies? Could we send some people to scout it out? And the response by Moshe Rabbeinu is he asks Hashem says, sure, be my guest. If you don't want to trust in me, if you don't have faith in God, then go right ahead. But if that's going to happen, I'm just sensing, Hashem says, it's not going to be good. It's not going to work out well. And so Moshe sends 12 tribes, 12 men, and they go to the land of Israel. And Moshe says to them, go and see, look at the land and see hatovahi im ra'ah, see if it's good or see if it's bad. So what exactly does that charge mean, to see if it's good or see if it's bad? And the Chidushei Harim explains to us something which is so incredibly critical that it applies to our lives. This is what he says. Moshe Rabbeinu was begging them. He said, if you come to the land of Israel, and at first you look at it and you say, this is not what it's all trumped up to be. This is bad. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, don't judge right away. Just wait, be patient. Allow yourself to get acclimated. Allow yourself to become comfortable. And then if you look for the good, you're going to find the good. And the Meraglim didn't listen to Moshe. The Chidushei Harim explains that was the critical error that they made. They went with a negative eye, but even if someone goes with a negative eye, if they're patient, and if they really seek to find something good, then if you're looking for good, he says, you'll find good. The Meraglim were not looking for good, and they didn't have the patience to see good. Not even when Kaleb and Yefune and Yoshua ben Nun says there is good here. No, the Meraglim just didn't allow themselves to see it, because their mind was made up before they even went there. How many times in life are we in situations in which we make up our minds before we even encounter a given situation? When we're told, when someone advises us and says, listen, just try it. And we say to ourselves, we just know this isn't going to work. We just know this is not going to be good. And then because of that, we go in with a negative eye. We don't look for anything positive. And if we would just be a little bit patient, if we would wait, if we would allow ourselves to get used to our environment, we would see that perhaps there really is good there. But if we don't search for the good, we won't be able to find it. How many times do we find ourselves in such situations, or we look back and say, wow, if I had just been a little bit more patient, it really would have been good for me. May we be zoche, may we merit to take this lesson that we learned from the negative experience of the Meraglim and flip it as a lesson to us today in the positive. That when it comes to encountering even certain things and certain experiences that we may have our doubts about, that we seek out the good, so that ultimately, as the Chidushei Harim says, we can find the good. Thank you for listening and have a good Shabbos.